A surprise indie direct from Nintendo that ended up disappointing us? How could that happen?
Go power up, dudes! Yeah!
Alright, we got a Nindie Direct out of nowhere. It's technically called a showcase, not a direct. It was
a direct.
10 minutes long. It was a little underwhelming. And none of the games really jump out. But your experience was like you could kind of warm up to some of them?
Yeah, there are certain ones that I was a little surprised and, like, oh, this is really cool. But I think with the number that they showed, there were a small amount that gave me any sort of interest.
Yeah, which is sad because there have been indie presentations for Nintendo in the past where it's like, I would love to try out every one of those. Especially the one that happened before the Switch launched. That was awesome. We had another one of these in August that was like 22 minutes long. So it's also a little weird, like, which clips made it into the Nintendo Direct from the week before. Like, that really famous one where they're like, Undertale?
Yes.
And that could have just been saved for this. Like, that might have redeemed some of it.
That might have redeemed this, but I think keeping it in the Direct, that Direct was one of the best Directs ever.
Okay.
Like, having Undertale announced is a big deal.
Yeah. Alright, I felt kind of sad about the ones that were absent. Like, when we're going to get an indie presentation from Nintendo, I would love to hear about Shovel Knight King of Cards, an update on Runner 3, Pocket Rumble, which has gone missing, and stuff like Morphe's Law. Like, I understand they don't want to show those every time, but if they could have just maybe given one of them a release date, because Runner 3 just made it out of lot check at Nintendo, so it has a release date. They could have mentioned it, at least. So, yeah. Chris in Sun is watching on Periscope and says, can we marry the guy with the hat? Let me check.
Well, can we marry the guy with the hat? I'm not into polygamy, so that's already off the table. It had to be one person, but I'm already married, so...
I think that's a yes.
But apparently, I'll take the compliment. Periscope is an interesting platform that we stream to. I'm always entertained by the stuff that the Periscope people bring.
Yeah.
Don't stop coming back. Yeah, this is the first proposal I've ever gotten. I appreciate it, but yeah, I'm married already, and I'm not a polygamist, so sorry. Yeah, they should have given more release dates, maybe.
Yeah.
Because some of them were ambiguous, but some of them they did give release dates too.
So, yeah, the omissions were strange, as well as stuff that was omitted that they actually got announced later that day through, like, emails, like Hyperlight Drifter coming to Switch. That is a very famous indie game. I'm looking forward to playing it for the first time, and it would have made a great spot. It's not like they were too long of a presentation.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, some of the ones that I thought were interesting to me, at least that stood out to me, there was a bunch of just stuff that was like, okay, that's cool for the indie that got a spotlight there, but that doesn't really interest me. Mark of the Ninja, it's a more mature game.
Is it like bloody?
It is. There's quite a bit of gore. I have played it, and it's it's a good game if you're into murdering people.
Yeah, I noticed there was
but I think a lot of people are. Yeah, that would have been a little bit probably not so Nintendo-ish to show. But I think that's a big one. I think that, and especially having something from Clay Entertainment that allows them to bring more to the table and kind of introduce them to not this table, but
table.
They
You said
I
Clay?
think it was injured. Yeah, Clay, KLEI Entertainment. They made other games.
And speaking of ninja games, it was kind of strange that it was bookended by ninjas.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
The other one's called The Messenger. That's the one I'll probably pick up, and it's pretty cool because I like sprite graphics, and this is a game that actually has 8-bit and 16-bit artwork, and you travel between them as your character is traveling through time, which I think is pretty neat. Yeah. And then Brian Altano of IGN got to go hands-on with this game, and he confirmed that it's definitely one to be looking out for. He says it could be this year's Shovel Knight.
Ooh.
Very cool.
See, it looked really cool. It looks fun, and the audio sounded amazing. But there wasn't anything that I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's something like that is like really cool, or that's a really cool mechanic. I mean, they showed the different graphical styles, but to me it looked more like, a ninja just slashing things. But
yeah,
it could be something great. Reigns, that seemed like a really interesting game.
What? You wrote that down?
I did.
You like that?
It looks like, I don't know. It looks like something that could be fun. I can't remember. Oh, I think there's a game called Papers, Please.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that game?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm kind of interested in those weird kind of things where you wouldn't think of it as a game necessarily. Mm-hmm. And it's more of an experience. I don't know. Maybe I'm more into that sort of thing. It looks like, I don't know if I'd pick it up, but it looks like something I might pick up.
Looks like medieval Tinder.
Yeah, that's the immediate feel that I got. But I think it's a little bit more than that. But
you can play it on your phone right now if you'd like. And it is probably cheaper than it will be on Switch.
Probably. And I might do that.
All right.
And then Banner Saga 3, I think was a big announcement. It's something that I've heard a lot of, and it looks really beautiful. I have very little personal interest in it, though. It's not the sort of game that I'd like to play, but I know it's a big deal.
I agree. Yeah, one I might check out is Lumines, because it's a very popular PSP game that people are saying it's like Tetris with rhythm, and one of PSP owners' favorite games. So I think that will be right at home on Switch. I'm looking forward to that. And there was a platformer game, and I'm a platformer fan, but it didn't grab me because it looked like you can just double and triple and quadruple jump in the air whenever you want. You remember you're making like those platforms?
Yes.
So I'm not sold on that one. I mean, some of these games they only showed so briefly that it's like I'm not exactly sure what's going to be going on.
I thought that you were done with that genre for a while.
Yeah, but that's not to say that I will be done with it when this game comes out, because as we've come to find out, things that are showcased on Nindie Directs don't necessarily come out on time. I mean, we're still waiting for all those games I mentioned before, with like Shovel Knight and Runner 3 and Pocket Rumble and stuff like that. So I'm feeling that these games are announced too early. Like,
I do too.
Like if the Nindie Direct could be every 4 months, you get every 3 months, each season, and it's like these have confirmed release dates for the next 3 months. This is what you will be getting to play on the eShop. I would love that. There was no release dates in this Indie Direct, and it's like these games aren't in danger of leaking. They don't need to be announced way ahead of time, and it's really hard to like keep your interest in a small game for as long as you might wait for like a Smash Bros or something like that. What do you think?
I definitely agree with that. I think having them more regular, especially with this size, this is a great size for an indie showcase. Having them, every 3 months or so, I think is a perfect opportunity.
What do you think about the hosts? Because I kind of chuckled to myself listening to Damon Baker drawl on, and I tweeted, and I said, Damon Baker gives me hope that any robot can work at Nintendo someday.
No, he's the normal guy who's on these, right? Okay, yeah. He's a little bit unblinking. I think that's the word for it.
Okay.
Reminds me kind of the Force Unleashed.
Oh.
Or like the Polar Express, or those weird movies where the characters don't blink. And it's the other guy was kind of funny, but Damon Baker basically shut him down.
Yeah, I know.
Like that was almost eerie. Like the robot is shutting down the real person. Like, okay, that is enough.
I know. No. I appreciated the kind of humor that guy brought to the Nintendo Directs, which used to be a staple. One weird thing, though, is that he was always looking at Damon. And it's like, please just face the camera. I'm sure, he'll get more comfortable on the video in the future and won't be looking at his friend the whole time. But I've never seen that guy before. Apparently he's higher up. He's like, didn't Damon say, like, this is my manager?
I think so. He's in charge of
whatever's
such and such department.
Yeah.
And then he had 2 lines, and then basically that was it.
Here's my boss. Boss, be quiet.
Now, I have here a note for a game called Fantasy Strike.
Oh.
That I've heard good things about, but the name is so generic that I can't remember what the game is about.
Yeah, it was a fighting game with
yes, okay.
elemental powers, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, I have heard good things about it. I've heard that it's one of the most accessible fighting games ever, and that has me interested in it. I might have to get my hands on that game. It just has such a generic name that I totally forgot what it was until you said it was a fighting game.
You get your hands on that game, I'll get my fists on you.
Oh, catch these hands. Catch these hands. I have been cantankerous
You didn't catch
lately.
the hand.
No, catch these hands. Both of them. I've been cantankerous lately.
You want to fight? You itching to use your zap gun?
Yeah, I have a stun gun now. Scott is not happy about the potential to get zapped, though.
We'll give you guys an opportunity to basically shock us.
Yes.
But that'll come later. Thanks for watching, and thank you for being a part of the crew.
Don't forget to comment. Leave your comments on the news. What have you guys been thinking? Whether it's on this live video or if it's commenting back on the replay. We read them.
We will be back in moments or days, depending if you're watching us live. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
Signing out.